Why Shavkat Rakhmonov should be next for the title for Islam Makhachev. Now, I know a lot of people will be saying that he's the least deserving and he should not be next, but in this video, I'm going to be talking about why I actually think he should be next for Islam Makhachev, along with why he's arguably just as deserving as the other contenders in the division. Starting off with the potential matchups that they could do for Islam Makhachev, the first one being the Ilia super fight. Now, this fight needs to happen, but it needs to happen at 155, and I feel like Ilia should defend his belt one more time before the fight, ideally against Arman Tsarukyan to test his grappling. I think that the UFC is waiting to see how Arman versus Dan Hooker goes and sees if Arman performs well, he's going to get the next title shot, is what I think they're trying to do. This would be the perfect fight before Ilia takes on Islam Makhachev to test his takedown defense and to see where his grappling really is, because although Charles Oliveira has decent wrestling, it's not the same as Arman Tsarukyan. Plus, if they made Ilia versus Islam now, Islam would have to cut a bunch of weight. It would take a long time for him to fight, and Ilia hasn't fought since June, so I feel like it makes sense to wait a little bit for that fight. I wouldn't want to wait another year for this fight to happen and then neither guy ends up fighting anyone else in between. I'd rather them each get one more fight before the super fight ends up happening. Next up is the young rising contenders at 170, Carlos Prates and Morales. Both are coming off of KO finishes at UFC 322, and if Ian Garry is able to beat Belal Muhammad, he's also going to be in the mix for the title shot. But if Belal wins, he's probably still won't be in the title discussion. But there's a few reasons why I believe Shavkat should get the title shot over a lot of the young contenders in the division. Starting off with his resume is arguably just as good as everyone else in the division. Morales is coming off of a really good performance against Sean Brady, which is a really good win to get him the title shot. But before that, he really hadn't beaten anyone. Gilbert Burns, who was completely washed, isn't that great of a win, along with Neil Magny. Prates has wins over Leon Edwards, Jeff Neal, but he lost to Ian Garry this year and he's only on a one fight win streak. Ian Garry has the best resume of these guys because he's beaten MVP, Jeff Neal, Neil Magny, and Prates, but he himself lost to Shavkat in a pretty clear performance. He lost 48-47, maybe 49-46. It was competitive, but Shavkat is clearly the better fighter of the two. And the Ian Garry win for Shavkat has aged beautifully. Ian Garry keeps on winning and it keeps on looking like a better win for Shavkat. So while he has been inactive and injured, his resume is still just as good as everyone else in the division for the young up-and-coming contenders. Now, another reason for this is the actual fight. Let's take Carlos Prates first as an example. He's coming off of a great KO against Leon Edwards and he has a ton of hype, but he stands no chance against Islam Makhachev. We know he would get subbed probably in the first round. We saw Leon take him down and control him in the first round, and he even dropped the first round. He didn't dominate Leon at all. There's no reason to kill all of his hype for a title fight that we know he's not going to win. There's so many fun fights out there for him, and on top of that, he doesn't really deserve the title shot. Even if Morales and Brady went to a decision, I still don't think it would have been the right move to give the title shot to Carlos Prates, who just lost to Ian Garry this year. And not only did he lose to him, he arguably lost 4 of the 5 rounds. Now, next up is Morales, who does have a better case for a title shot. His performance against Sean Brady was better than Prates' performance against Leon. He finished him in the first and he was winning pretty much the entire fight, but he's just 25 years old. He's still not in his prime, and again, I don't feel like it makes sense to give him the title shot when he's still not in his prime. And even though he is coming off of a really good performance, he's going to get subbed by Islam, and it's just not going to be a close fight. It's not that interesting of a fight. The Shavkat fight is much closer, and it's not undeniable that Morales deserves the title shot. Again, his only real good win is against Sean Brady. I know you could say that for Shavkat as well, but they're pretty even on who deserves the title shot more. I think a win over Ian Garry is up there with a win over Sean Brady. Now, if Morales was able to get another KO against someone like Ian Garry or another contender, maybe Carlos Prates, he would be undeniable, but I don't think that you have to give him a title shot after just the Sean Brady win. It's a little bit more of an interesting fight compared to the Prates fight, but I would just rather see Shavkat fight Islam Makhachev than Morales. But moving on to Ian Garry. Now, obviously, the first argument, he fought Shavkat and he lost pretty clearly. Since that fight, he's beaten Carlos Prates and he may end up beating Belal Muhammad. And if he does beat Belal Muhammad in an impressive fashion, he probably will be a little bit more deserving compared to Shavkat Rakhmonov. But if we look at the Islam Makhachev fight, imagine Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. It's just a complete mismatch. We saw in the Shavkat fight, he got taken in the clinch, he got taken down, knees to the body. Shavkat is great in the clinch, and it just wasn't that close. He kept on getting taken down and controlled. Outside of the 5th round where he was able to get Shavkat's back, which is pretty impressive, we know what's going to happen against Islam Makhachev. And it's even worse than the Prates and Morales fight, because even though Ian Garry has decent grappling, his grappling is better than Prates. He doesn't have the one-shot KO power of Morales and Prates, so he doesn't really have, I feel like, any chance in this fight. There's no way he's going to finish Islam Makhachev, and his only chance is, a close decision, but I just don't see that happening, and I don't feel the need. He's only 28. I don't feel the need to rush him for another title shot. Again, when he lost less than a year ago, I don't think it makes sense, even if he beats Bilal Muhammad. And even Kamaru Usman, I know I can't use the inactive argument because I'm saying Shavkat Rakhmonov should be next, but I feel like his win against Buckley was probably the worst win out of all of the contenders. Buckley isn't bad, but if you compare him to Prates, to Ian Garry, even Bilal Muhammad, JDM, Morales, Brady, he's by far the worst one out of them all. And I don't mind it, but I just don't like when fighters sit out for title shots. I know people will say Shavkat, but he's not sitting out for a title shot. He's injured. Usman has specifically said that he is sitting out for a title shot and does not want to fight any contenders. Plus, he's just not in his prime. Even after the Buckley performance, I just don't see how he beats Islam Makhachev. I think Islam is a better striker than him, and I do think Islam would be able to get him down. So to summarize why I believe Shavkat Rakhmonov should be next for Islam Makhachev, his resume is up there with everyone else. I know people will say Usman, but Usman, he's on a one-fight win streak. Shavkat has a really good win over Ian Garry, who's a rising prospect. We've seen him win again and again. He beat Prates. And I think out of all these guys, he's the one guy who I think would actually give Islam Makhachev problems. If you remember the Ian Garry fight, he was actually winning on the feet. His striking is legit. People don't really talk about how good he is on the feet. He's great in the clinch. He has great grappling. He's very dangerous on the ground. He's a way better grappler than JDM. And he's also bigger than JDM. He's a decent sized welterweight. And while JDM may have been a little bit bigger, Shavkat Rakhmonov is definitely going to be a lot bigger than JDM. And even if Shavkat were to lose this fight, which I would say Islam Makhachev probably wins, it would be a pretty competitive fight and it wouldn't totally kill his hype, because at least he probably would go to like a 48-47, maybe 49-46 decision, maybe almost like the Volk first fight where it's a loss, but it's a good loss that gains him new fans. It's still a good performance compared to what the Prates and Morales fight could end up being. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you disagree with. Let me know who you think should be next for the title shot. Who do you think is the most deserving and what matchup you would like to see most?